happy because we get to show other people with what we think, with what we like and with what we would like to go on the playground, and also so we can share our ideas with the community and the council and also other adults and other kids.
This next stage of the process has really been about community groups coming together, and that's both state and local government, not-for-profit organisations, parents and other community members coming together with children and young people and planning around what children and young people have said is important to them in their communities.
For things like community engagement, you have to let people know how their decisions have been and how their input has translated into product or service changes or new policies, and because then that gives them enthusiasm to engage the next time around. So it's good manners really, but it's also just an important continuation of the conversation, which is what community engagement's all about, not having a one-way dialogue.
So the steering group came together to discuss the themes that had evolved from the participation pilot and to action those views and opinions expressed by the children. An idea evolved around developing an activity crate where the children would have input into what goes into the activity crate, and this could be movable, so it could be transported throughout the community and accessible by all families and children.
We got together at the last community development meeting, and the information that we've gathered from the children indicating that they love outdoor spaces and beaches and being with their families, that's going to be considered when we make the decision as for what it is that's going to happen within this community.
We have about 75 businesses and organisations, schools and community centres who have made a commitment to creating child-friendly spaces based on what the children have told us, and the children and community members continue to input into that charter so that we are very much aware of the spaces within our community that are friendly to children and welcoming to the families.
It's really important for local government to have a strong focus on listening to the views of its young residents. They actually are active citizens today of their areas. Every council now is legislated to engage with the community, so to make sure that under 18s are part of that engagement strategy is very important.
One of the most exciting parts about working in council is that we get to work on a variety of projects, and one recently that came up was council was really interested in developing a maze next to our library. Sitting around the table were senior management and managers, all adults, looking at the maze concept, and the one that we really liked was a storybook theme. And as I was sitting there, I was thinking not one of us around the table is ever going to use this maze, as we're all adults, so we put forward the suggestion to go and talk to 4-year-olds about what they thought the maze should look like. So we took our landscape architect, who panicked at the thought of talking to children, and we brought her across the road to our preschool. So she went back and redesigned her whole concept based on what the 4-year-olds had said. And then what we did is brought the concept back to the children as well to check that we had it right, and they gave us a thumbs up this time.
The action group looked at, I think it must have been about 25 or so different topics that the children had picked, but we'll develop a map which is child-friendly in the sense that a child can look at it and read it and understand it, and we're working with the Town of Gawler Council on that. The second part that we picked up on was that the children wanted to be part of the landscaping, the planting of different parks and gardens within the town.
I was able to go out to the Gawler event. There were about 100 students there from the different schools in that region who were all displaying their artefacts. And then we also had representatives from the council come along. And one of the things that really was significant to myself on that day was that the councils were actually taking away what the students and the children and young people had been presenting with their artefacts, and we're going to take it back to the council members and look to put it into their strategic plans.
Yeah, with our kids coming along for the journey, we're looking to involve them in some of the aspects of the parks, and that is actual infrastructure being implemented. What we'd like to see is their plans, their vision, their aspirations actually come to fruition in the community.
So now that the decision's been made and there's going to be a map created, the children's views will be recorded with illustrations that they've made themselves of what's important around our community and what they see, what they like to go visit and what they respond to, because at the moment with the maps we've got they can't read them because there's lots of words and lots of numbers, whereas with pictures of trees and ponds and playgrounds, they'll be able to say, this is where I want to go, this is what's there, and I'd like to go and enjoy it.
What's happened is I've made a summary of everybody's ideas, and we've made a list of what all the children of Gawler have said they would love to see in their community. So I'll read some of them out, and you can see if you can hear any of these things that might have come from your ideas.
One of the resources we have is a research project report called Children as Citizens, and what this focuses on is how educators in a variety of settings have engaged with the child's voices. Now, this research book has provided for a really important evidence base for another resource that we've developed, which is a principled framework for engaging with children's and young people's voices, and it's simply called Children's Voices. But it does provide for very clear sets of principles going through the planning, the preparation, implementation, documentation and tracking consequence of this kind of engagement.
One of the things that we're really setting out to achieve is to be respectful of the children and what they've said to us. And one of the ways that we've done that is that we've actually kept referring back to the different groups, what we believe that they've said, so that they've been able to reflect upon those comments and feed that back to us. If we don't do that in a really authentic and respectful way, then we're actually not doing what we're setting out to achieve, which is to get the child's voice on development strategies, policy making of this town.
Our students then have a chance to actually go and meet and talk about what they want in the community over a breakfast meeting. And they come back very excited. It's now starting to use terms like, oh, I network with this miss, and I think we should get this person to come into the school, miss. So they now have the attitude about they can go out and represent the school, but also they can invite people in and people will listen to them, which is fantastic.
It's just giving them that idea that they are a citizen in Australia and they've got a voice. They're a citizen within Onkaparinga and they are valued. We do genuinely care about what they think and feel.
Children and young people as well, they're also our leaders. So they may be certainly future elected members or all of that, but they're still leaders today and can make influential decisions.
So for them, the journey that they've actually gone on and the experiences that they've been able to be a part of has been hugely beneficial for them, their self-esteem, confidence and their learning.
And I think it's great because the kids will actually see some of their ideas put into place, and so it's not just empty words, and that we have heard them and that we can do something for them and they'll actually see it happening. I think for the older children that'll be really important for them to see that. The younger ones I think will really enjoy it, and I think they'll come to learn that, yeah, hey, people do listen to us and it is great, you know, because they're our citizens and they're our leaders for tomorrow.
If we're going to improve what we're doing, if we're going to ensure that we are achieving, we need to make sure that those children and young people have a voice in the very decisions that are actually impacting upon their lives. So I think the onus is on us to be creating those spaces, those places, those mechanisms for those children and young people to be heard.
You are building the foundations here of citizenship, of community, of social cohesion.
Ultimately, I think the benefit of this kind of participation for children are the valuable lessons learned about what it means to be an active, valued citizen in our society, in the here and now, and not only in their future lives.
I believe our opinions shape the world. My vision, as is everyone else, is unique. I have ideas and ways to help. Some may not be effective, but I will always have my opinions, so it's nice to be heard.